Hello, my name is Jorrit Schulte exclusively for AE++, and in today's tutorial we are going to take a look at creating the effect you see on the screen right now. Now, because of the 2.5D nature of After Effects, we'll come across some technical challenges, but we're gonna solve those using some clever tricks and expressions. Alright, so let's create a new composition, Ctrl N, and we're just gonna make this an HD comp, and 10 seconds is fine, and hit OK. Good. So I'm just gonna create a 3D sphere now. Ctrl Y for solid, make it comp size. Color doesn't really matter. Call this Earth. Now you are going to need a 3D plugin for this. For example, I'm gonna use Element, but you can use something by Zexwork as well. Doesn't really matter. I got some footage from the Earth right here. I'm just gonna turn it off, go into Earth, and apply Video Copilot elements on that. Right, let's go to the scene setup. And actually, before we do that, go to the custom layers, and for texture layer 1, I'm just gonna say earth.jpg. And now go to the scene setup. I'm gonna go to the primitives and just select an HD sphere. Right there. Right, and so we're gonna click on the material, click on the diffuse, and set the layer to custom layer 1, which is the earth.jpg. Hit OK. Alright, so you got an Earth. Couple problems. It's reflective, so set the reflectivity, set that down. Let's go to the right here, intensity to 0, and then go up here, set the diffuse to 0, and the shininess and spectacular as well, and then the ambient to about 20, I think. That would light up the Earth. So just got a flat Earth material there. Good. Let's go to group 1, particle look, and just scale this up maybe to 15 or something like that. So let's create the markers. Let's go Ctrl Y to create a new solid, and let's make this 500 by 500, and I'm gonna make this orange just so I can see what it is, and call this marker, like that. Good. So we're just gonna apply circle on that, just the circle effect, and we're just gonna keyframe that on. So just keyframe for the radius and set it to 0. Let's hit U so you can see what's going on, and we're gonna go 5 keyframes further. Just hit the page down button 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go, and then keyframe it down to about there maybe. Right. Let's duplicate the circle effect. Let's set the edge to thickness, and then set the blending mode to normal, so you can just put it over the original one. And let's put that maybe there. Let's duplicate that. Let's make it a bit bigger. Duplicate it once more, and make it bigger still, something like that. Then hit U and U again, and let's offset these last keyframes 5 times per kind of layer. Per effect. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times page down button. Let's drag that over. Do that for the other ones as well. For the other ones as well. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's select them all. And let's go right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease, or F9 if you're not recording your screen. So that's pretty good. Let's add a fill effect. Let's apply that, and let's make that orange, something like that. Hit OK, and then just the transform mode is gonna set it to additive. Yeah, maybe you want to make this a bit darker, maybe something like that. Alright, so let's make it a 3D layer, and now we need a way to map this on the surface. Now the way we are going to do that is when you hit A, we're just gonna have an anchor point and drag that to the surface, and then when we rotate it, it actually maps itself to the surface perfectly. So let's set this back to the standard. Let's alt click. Actually, before we do that, let's just have the element interface here. So alt click on the anchor point. We are gonna go value plus. We're gonna go 0, 0, the size of the particle times 25, and that will, there we go, 25. That will perfectly map this on the surface of this sphere. So we can scale this up or scale this down. The marker stays perfectly on its spot. Right, so let's set this back to 15. And let's go ahead and rotate this to the first place. Let's go right here in Europe. And that can be a bit tricky. So what we're going to do is R, hit R. And we want to use the rotation so we know how many revolutions it made around the Earth. Because if we do it with orientation, we will get into trouble a bit later. So we just want to do it with X, Y, and Z rotation for now. So let's rotate that. Let's put that right there. So in this case, I'm going to rotate the X rotation, so the X vector is pointing up. And then again with the Y rotation, I can just put that there, and then I can just fine tune that like that. Okay, let's hit Shift S to bring up the scale. And you can just scale that down because it's actually gonna go back inside of the Earth as it were. So what you want to do is create a little bit expression, Alt click, and just between brackets like that, we just want to go value 0, comma value 1, so you can change those two. But for the Z, just want to keep it at 100. So when we scale to this point, oops, yeah. So when we scale to this point, it just scales the size and it doesn't change the position of the marker. All right. Okay, so this is a kind of an important point. I want to name this 1. This is going to be important for the expression later. So just keep that in mind. You want to name the markers as their numbers. Alright, so let's duplicate the marker into number 2 and let's hit R and rotate this to the next place. Let's go maybe here. Let's rotate that as we want that. Good. Let's duplicate it once more and hit R. Make sure the numbers are updated correctly, and let's drag that over to Australia there. We might want to go to America as well. Let's duplicate it one more time and just rotate that towards let's see where we are. Okay, there we go. Rotate it to where you want. Okay, good. So the obvious first problem that we see is that when the globe is turning, you'll keep seeing the markers even though they should be on the other side of the Earth. So the way we are going to fix that is actually when the camera looks at the back face of this layer, the opacity will be 0. So let's select the first layer, hit T to bring up the opacity, and then Alt click on the stopwatch to create an expression. So in between parentheses, we're gonna type 2 comp, capital C, vec for vector, capital C, and then in between parentheses again, and in brackets as well, we're gonna type 0, 0, 1, and then in brackets after that, 2, when that's greater than 0. So basically what this says is when the camera is looking at the front, the value will be 1, and when it looks at the back, the value will be 0. So just times 100, and it will turn on and off as it were based on whether it's looking at or away from the camera. Alright, so let's select the opacity, right click, copy expression only. Let's select the other layers, say edit, paste. So now that does it for all the, this applies the expression for all the other layers. And they all work the same, and that's fine. Okay, so now let's create a particle effect, and for that we need a layer, a null object, to move from here to here to here and to here. And so let's do that. So let's go layer, new null object. Let's call that traveler or something like that. And let's create an expression for that. Let's first of all actually make it 3D and hit, actually select one of the other layers, hit A, and just copy the expression for that. And let's paste it for the traveler. So now when you hit U, you can see the expression is applied there as well. And now we are going to hit R, Shift R, and we're going to make an expression for the orientation, not for the XYZ. Okay, for the orientation. So let's alt-click on the orientation, and basically this is what we are going to do. Okay, so we're going to basically use a linear expression to make a move from one position to the other. So let's do that in basic form now. So first of all, let's create a slider and apply that to the traveler. And let's call this target or marker. And one thing we want to do is go down, right click, edit value, and just set the range to the number of markers that we have. So from 1 to 4, which is the last marker that we have in this particular case. So now we can just move this without going further or lower than we should. And that's also is gonna prevent some errors later on. So hit marker number equals this number here, and then from, so it's going to travel from this layer here, layer 1. Let's go down to layer 1, hit R, from, and we're going to go between brackets since this needs 3 values. Rotation X, comma, rotation Y, comma, 0, because Z rotation doesn't really matter. And then let's copy this. Let's go ahead and paste that and change from to 2, like that. And then hit the change the layer number from 1 to 2. And don't forget these things there. Good. So then the linear expression is very simple. Linear, the marker number, from, to, and that's between parentheses. And then when we take a look here and select the traveler, let's go to the first 2, 1 and 2 there. You can see it travels from 1 to 2. It should actually, because EM goes from 0 to 1. So for now, let's go just -1. So now it travels from the first layer, the first marker, to the second marker, like that. Alright? So at this point it actually stays quite flat on the, actually perfectly flat on the surface of the Earth. So we actually needed to, between these markers, actually go up and back down. And something that can do it does for us is actually a sinus wave. Half a period of a sinus wave is 1 pi, and that will do exactly that. Right, and then if we make it an absolute value, which is just makes all the negative numbers positive, right? So just inverts the negative numbers. You actually get quite a handy wave there, and you can see the half a period is still 1 pi. So let's do that for the anchor point. So let's bring up the expression for the anchor point, and let's change it a bit. Let's hit S equals math.sin, which is of course the sinus wave, and this we want the marker, the value of the marker right here. That's the time, or the x in this case, of course, time math.pi in all capitals, like that, and then we want another slider and call that height. That's how high the sinus wave will be. So let's do times height, and then just right here in the value plus blah blah blah, just at the end of that, before the last bracket, just go plus s, and set the height maybe to 50 or so. And at this point actually it seems to go down. Maybe it's just an optical illusion. It is not. Of course, what we need to do is math point ABS for absolute, and then put out everything we got in brackets, just like that. So now it's going up, and that makes sense, of course. There we go. And it keeps going up, but it's not traveling any further. So let's fix that now. And what we need to fix, of course, is the orientation, because right now we just started to go from layer 1 to layer 2 and then stop. And there's no real easy way to say we can't just add another value here. We actually need to be a bit clever about this and just change these values here so it actually changes back. So what we are going to do is, once this traveler hits the spot of number 2, from needs to change to 2, and 2 needs to change to number 3. So effectively this is starting all over. So let's do that right now. We are going to create a new variable, just call that num for the number, and equals actually math point floor of the slider, of this marker slider right there. So basically what that says is it keeps the lowest value, it rounds down, so basically this, it will be 1, still be 1, and until its value is 2, then this number changes to 2, until it gets to 3, and then this value changes to 3, and stays 3 until we get to 4. Okay, so we can use that number now. First of all, the m, we're going to set this minus num, rather than the 1. So what this is doing now, it's keeps returning to the first one and does the same little animation. See, so we're almost there. So all we need to do now is make sure that these two layers change, and this is the reason why we gave these markers the name of a number, nothing else. So what we can do now is tell the expression that this number actually is the name of the layer. So what we do is just put that away and just put num in there. Now we need to tell it After Effects that this is not just a value, it's actually a character. Just to go plus and then two empty, actually 2 quotation marks without anything in it. Right? So we need to copy that then. And paste that for this one as well. And then here in number 2 we need to just add, make sure you don't do that, plus 1, because it's the one that needs to go to, plus that, right? So you got this. Let's copy that and let's paste that there. Alright, so let's see what it does now. Okay, it goes from 1 to 2, as it should, very good, and then it goes to 3, which seems to be that one. So actually we made a mistake there. So we need to change those just right there. This one I'm just gonna call 3. We might get an error at this point. Okay, no. And on this one we can call 4, like that. So now it should work as you should expect. This is now number 3, and that's now number 4. So it should go, this when we select the traveler, from 1 to 2 to number 3, go to number 4, which is all the way there. Good. Now, here's the problem. When we hit 4, we actually get an error. Watch this. There. Because it's trying to find a layer named 5, and there isn't any. So, the reason for that is that 2 looks 1 layer ahead, which there isn't. So, we need to tell this expression to try and do this, and else just stay at this layer here. So the way we're going to do that is just type try, and just one of those wiggly brackets, then all the way down, catch, so when this try doesn't work, and an error, so when you get an error, just stay with from, in fact, like that, and then one of the and then another squiggly bracket there, and then you just stay at from. So now when we go ahead and it goes from 1 to 2 to 3 all the way to 4 and then stays there. Alright, and we won't get another error until we get to 5, which we never need to do. So just don't go there and that will be fine. So let's create the line now that travels from one marker to the other, and we're actually going to do this with particular in fact. So let's go Ctrl Y for a new solid. Let's make this comp size, call it particles, and let's make it just black. And hit OK, good. Then let's go and apply trapcode particular on that. Alright, now you cannot just link the emitter to the position, because the position is at the center of the sphere at this point. So what we need to do is we need this value here of the layer where it actually is in the viewport. So there's actually a very easy expression that does exactly that. So just get Alt, click on the position XY, and we're just going to say P for position equals. I'm just going to pick whip that layer to the traveler, and get an error right there, just ignore that, and just go dot or point to world, capital W, there we go, and then in between parentheses and in between brackets 0, 0, 0, just so it doesn't shift, and then like that. Right, and then because we need this is an X and a Y value, we're just gonna go in between brackets P1, actually 0 for X, and P1 for Y, like that. Right, and then we can just copy this and paste it for the P, and then just go P in between brackets 2, like that. So then it follows that actually let's go ahead and keyframe the slider from 1, and let's go U, put it to the first frame, all the way to, let's go, let's see, alright, well, 4. See how fast it goes at this point. Pretty fast, that's fine actually, that's maybe 3 seconds. Right, so at this point the particle's going a bit crazy, of course. So what we need to do is go ahead and go into the particles and work on the look. So the velocity and velocity random and all that stuff just to 0, so we got a straight line. And the comp is 10 seconds, so let's go to the particle life and just set this to 10. And let's make the transform mode add, and let's make this like maybe orange, like that, and then set the transform mode for this to add as well. Okay, let's see, we need a couple of more particles per second because it's creating gaps there, so maybe 500. And then we need to put the opacity back down per particle, so just maybe like that, a bit more. Alrighty. Okay, now we come across another problem at this point, and that is that the particles, just like the markers at the start, actually show up at the back of the globe. Now, in particular, there's a wonderful option which is actually in the visibility, and you can actually vanish every particle that is far away or close up, like that. So you can do it by hand, or we can create a quick expression to do that exactly at the center of this globe. Right. So let's just create a quick new object which is exactly at the center, and just let's call that cutter. We don't need to see it or do anything with it except make it 3D. Right, so it's just at the center of the composition. So we know where that is very easily. It's when we hit P right there. And so what we're going to do is go into the particular and just hit Alt click for the far vanish. And we just want the length from the camera to the center of this globe, right? And we want to cut anything that is further away from that. So what we're going to type is just length, and then in between parentheses, this comp, capital C, point active camera, capital C, point position, and comma, and just the layer of the cutter dot position right there. Right, so that's the length, and just to be safe, I'm just gonna go minus 100 at the end there, just so we get a little bit more space there. And now we're missing some particles there, so what we're going to do is we call this front particles, this layer, and then duplicate it, putting it all below the earth, and call this back particles. And what you want to do is go ahead and go down in the, make sure you select the back particles layer, go down, actually hit U, go to the far vanish, cut that, Control X, and then go to the near vanish, Alt click, and paste that there. So this layer is just everything that is below there, and this is everything that is in front of the globe. So together that makes this, and we have a layer of the earth in the middle of that. So now that actually behaves as you would expect. If you want to do the same thing with a little bit more of a complex scene where there are more layers that are getting obscured, you might want to take a look at Sparticular, another script on aescripts.com. It's really good, and it automates the project. But for our purposes, the way we're doing it is just a little bit easier for that. But check it out; it's a great script. So what we can do at this point is just we're pretty much done. We can drag these so the timing is right. So there, let's start that there. Right, this one as well. And finally number 4. Right there. Okay, that's pretty good. So what we can do now is just add a quick star background. So let's go Control Y for a new layer, call it star background. Let's make the scum size and hit OK. Let's put it below everything. So let's for now. I'm just gonna add another particular on there. And let's make a quick star field. I'm just gonna go ahead and go to the physics, and let's go to first frame, time factor 1. Let's go 1 frame further and set this to 0. So what it does at that point is just create particles at the center and then do nothing with it. So let's drag this 1 frame there, so it's got that at the start. So what we're gonna do is go inside of the air, I think, and there's a spherical field just at the strength to 100. So you can actually you can see that it's actually a ball when you just turn the visibility on. Right there. So we want some more particles. So just go to emitter and add as much particles as you need, and then we can just make the radius of the sphere bigger and keep adding particles. What you can do as well is just go ahead and hit U and drag those keyframes out a bit more, so you can actually, so we can get more particles as well. And then make sure the keyframes are before the first frame, like that. And doing a bit of a weird thing, so that's probably because of the, so the cache, so you can just purge this, and I'll fix that. Good. So let's turn everything back on, and might want to make these a bit smaller. The particle size, let's see, put that down, maybe a bit size random. Again, that's pretty good. Alright, so let's quickly create a camera, a very simple camera rig. Just create a layer new nil, and just call this rig. Let's reset the camera, and let's make the rig 3D and just link the camera to the parent camera to the rig. And what we can do then is animate the rig. So just hit R for rotation, and we can just start here. Let's see where the traveler goes from here. So let's go keyframe the Y rotation from there to there. So that's travel with it like that, and then it's just there. And let's select them both, go keyframe assistant, easy ease. You can see that, but it's there. Just show you. There. Okay, so let's turn the motion blur on then. For all the particle, for the stars, for example, and maybe the Earth as well. So you can see with the stars, they're fading out a bit. So what we can do is go into the star background and go to rendering, motion blur, and there's an opacity boost, so we can just boost the opacity a bit, so it doesn't fade away quite as much, and we can add the glow as well. To the particles. Right, so at this point the boost is a bit much, so maybe just 2 or so. There's one problem here, it seems. So let's go to, let's see, that's the back particle, no, it's the front particles. Yeah. So what we're gonna do is just hit U and make this minus 100, maybe minus 150. Right, and make sure you do the same thing for the back particles. Hit U, set this to 150 as well, and that will just fix that. Good. So let's turn the motion blur for these on as well, and everything seems to go a bit fast. So just the traveler rig, hit U, and just maybe 6 seconds. And what we need to do at the point is just readjust the markers. Let's just solo the markers and the travelers so you can see what's going on. So right there needs to start. Right, just like that. Good. And there we go. So then the last thing I want to do is just add a glow for the Earth. Just really quickly, just duplicate the Earth. Duplicate it. Call this glow. Just add a glow to that. Let's solo it for now. Just gonna set the glow based on alpha channel, and then just make it big and make this blue. Make the size a bit smaller, maybe 14, like that, and then just add the glow below the original Earth, so you don't see it. Maybe 15.5. That's of course bigger, 14.5, like that, and just play with the color a bit. Something like that, maybe a bit more intense. Let's see what is fine, I think. Something like that makes sure maybe below the back particles, and just set this to add, don't know how much that's going to do. So let's run preview this and see what it looks like. Alright, so we can work on the timing a bit, but the rest looks pretty good. So my name is Jules Holt for A++. I hope you learned something, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.